From CNN. DHS Secretary blames New York City officials, sanctuary city's policies for shooting of off-duty Border Patrol agent. So an illegal immigrant, do we know why this happened? You see the video footage, just walks up to an off-duty Border Patrol agent and shoots him. And I mean, this is crazy. The 42-year-old officer is in stable condition, expected to survive. There was no indication he was targeted because of his employment. The officer was not in uniform, was sitting with a woman in Riverside Park beneath the George Washington Bridge when two men approached on a moped. One of the men approached the officer, who realized he was being robbed, and drew his service weapon. They both fired their weapons, and the officer was shot in the face and arm. The perpetrator was wounded before he got back on the moped and drove away. Authorities identified Miguel Mora, 21-year-old, CNN? Undocumented illegal immigrant. With an extensive criminal past as a person of interest, he arrived at Bronx Hospital with gunshot wounds to the groin and leg and was taken into custody. After the attack, the New York City Police Department asked hospitals in the area to be on the lookout for patients with gunshot wounds, which led them to Mora. After a search, Mora's alleged accomplice, who was also undocumented, was arrested Monday. Noam said, apparently, he entered the country illegally in 23. He was detained and released because of their sanctuary policies, only to go on and try to murder a man in cold blood. And I wonder how often he's gotten away with this without anyone stopping him. And this is what their policies have brought this country. So a moment ago, I think, Shane, you were saying that all of the actions of the previous administration seemed like treason against this country. Mm-hmm. You said treason?
Yeah.
Okay, it's sedition.
I know. Yeah.
It's sedition. I'm kidding.
Treason sounds so good, though.
It does.
So does sedition.
But it was to destroy, undermine, and overthrow this country. Yeah. There's no other explanation.
They even imported their modus operandi for crime.
Mopeds.
You know, I know, seriously. I mean, how many clips have you seen of like Brazil and Latin America?
Yep.
You know, where it's the duo on the motorcycle, you know, they stop, one guy gets off. But in Brazil, people are strapped, and like sometimes it doesn't end well for those people, you know. So, but that is not a type of crime that I remember happening here in the United States. Like, you know, two people on a moped, one guy gets off, give me your stuff, get back on the moped. That's not the type of stuff that was going on in New York City 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think that I've seen that kind of robbery frequently in the U.S. Usually they're, you know, strong arms and they're people walking. I don't know that this, like I have obviously no inside knowledge as to if this guy was targeted because he's a Border Patrol agent, but it does, you know, bring to mind all of the Democrats that are saying that we should pass legislation that says that Border Patrol or police can't wear masks. Mm-hmm. Today with the internet is a different time than it was 30 years ago. So the idea that you don't have to try to protect your family if you're a law enforcement officer, that's ridiculous. I mean, there's always been some kind of danger for the families of law enforcement officers. There's stories of the mob getting, you know, finding out about whose family or what, those kind of things happened. Yeah. When the mafia was prevalent. But nowadays with online searches being so simple, you know, I think that the idea that your average law enforcement officer can't cover his face, that's ridiculous. And Democrats that are trying to push that are putting law enforcement in danger.
Yeah, and the facial recognition software out there that can be used to find somebody from just a picture.
Yep.
It's not just like your pictures in the paper. Hey, I know that guy. It's like, here's a face. Let me find who this is. It's a totally different thing.
Clearview AI. Yeah, it's crazy.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't have a whole lot more to say about this particular issue, but the idea that law enforcement can't cover their face is terrible.
I think we're cooked. You know what I was thinking? That the stories seem to be getting crazier, especially the Tulsi Obama stuff. And people don't care. You know, people just, because I wonder if the reality of life is community is all that matters, and community news is all that matters to a person for the most part. I remember I was having a conversation with, it was my cousin's family, and they had like a teenage daughter, and they were joking how she doesn't care at all about the news. And I said, you care about the, I looked at her, I was like, you care about the news? And she's like, no, I don't. And I was like, you do. It's just news to me is different than news to you. So like, let's try this. Think of somebody you hate in your class. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, okay, now they're in charge. Do you care about what they're doing? Yeah. And I'm like, so they get to make the rules for you now. And she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, wouldn't you and your friends talk about what they were doing? Yeah, that's the news. See, we're all adults. We pay taxes. We vote. So we care about that particular thing. You care about your community. The reason I bring that up is the more this stuff happens, the crazier things get. Doesn't change whether people care about what's going on. We see your traditional media cycles, and everyone is acting like the past 7 or 8 years is normal. So when we talk about, I was talking with Mike Davis earlier, and I asked him this very simple question about, to tie it into what we're talking about, New York, California, these other states have sanctuary policies that undermine the government, that give Democrats a power boost, and it's resulted in Obamagate and all of these things. And so I asked him, I'll ask you guys this now, with Tulsi going after them and saying they should be prosecuted, with the DOJ saying they are investigating, do you believe that the Obama cabal, or whatever you want to call it, is simply going to say, you got us. All right, take us in?
No.
Definitely not.
No, do you think they will?
No,
Do you
no
think
way.
do you think they will resist in any way?
Yes, in every way.
They'll prevaricate, they'll lie, they'll do whatever they have to just make it go under the rug or
Whatever they have to?
Yeah, well, within reason. There are some
See,
things they can't do.
I think that's silly, to be honest.
I think it's beyond within reason. I think these people.
I think raiding Trump's home with guns and an order to shoot to kill if need be is psychotic.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
And this is what Mike had pointed out. He said,
No, what I was saying is that the people who did this would do whatever within reason to avoid getting blamed for it. So that's what I was talking about there.
right. So Tulsi has called for their prosecution. Trump has posted images of Obama being arrested. In the event they say we have issued grand jury indictments and intend to prosecute these individuals, do they resist, or do they simply say we've been caught?
They will not say they've been.
They're not going to say we've been caught.
So they'll resist.
They'll resist and
never-
they'll take it out.
They'll resist legally.
And they'll take it out on the people. I think, as well.
So you believe, Bricksuit, that in the event feds show up to Obama's house with cuffs and say, right this way, he'll go, you got me. Take
No.
me in, boys. What will he do?
Driving a Bronco really fast.
All right. Well,
Honest
okay.
question.
So on this hypothesis,
Slow
if President Obama is going to be arrested, it would be communicated. It would be a negotiated arrest. It's not going to be we're just showing up and doing it. So in the case of him, it's a little bit different because he does have Secret Service protection. You can't just roll up like that. That's going to be different.
Okay,
So
what about Comey?
Comey?
They're
Yeah.
gonna knock on his door at 3 a.m. with CNN waiting outside. Not CNN, let's do Breitbart.
Well, wouldn't you find Comey on the beach looking at shells? Why is he going to be at home?
So do you believe that when law enforcement shows up for Comey, he'll put his hands behind his back and they'll say, you're going away for life, buddy? And he'll go, okay, you got me.
Oh, okay. When you say resist, I'm thinking they're going to resist in a way they're going to lash
Anyway,
out on the American
anyway.
people. But I think when they show up to arrest, they will actually go in. They want those optics of looking like the victim.
No, resist in any way.
Okay.
Are they going to use the legal apparatus?
Legal, yes.
Manipulation through the press? Falsification of evidence? And would they escalate to force if they were losing?
Absolutely.
I mean, technically, there's an argument to be made that they've already tried to use force.
They raided Donald Trump's home on false pretexts with instructions to shoot to kill if need be.
Correct.
And Mike Davis pointed this out, and I think he hit the nail on the head with the hammer. The speculation at the time was that Trump had declassified Crossfire Hurricane, but that it had not been released. So the speculation was that Trump took it with him, or at least copies of it, so they could release what the Obama administration had done, this criminal conspiracy. And they were willing to kill to get it back. That's why they did not prosecute Joe Biden, and that's why they raided Mar-a-Lago.
And if the media creates this caricature of Trump being like the next Hitler, then his death at the hands of these agents won't be so bad to half the country.
So the reason I ask these questions is just that we are at this point where how insane is it to say, and I'm gonna try and be as neutral as possible. Donald Trump's home was raided by federal law enforcement, and they were authorized to use lethal force in the event they were met with commensurate force. Do you believe anyone in 2015 would believe you if you told them in 7 years, federal law enforcement will raid Donald Trump's beachfront property, armed with instructions to use lethal force against the patrons and residents should they be met with commensurate force? People would say, nice movie. Nice movie.
They wouldn't even say nice movie. They'd say that's unbelievable baloney.
And then it happened, and that's not the only thing that did happen.
Yeah.
It has been going on nonstop. And so the reason I bring up cultural cohesion and all this stuff is if you go to a bar and you mention this to your average person, you're going to get one of two answers depending on your jurisdiction. You're a fascist and you made it up, or yep, and we know it. And then what happens? Is it that societies devolve through this desensitization, this normalization, to where off-duty Border Patrol agents are shot and killed in New York, and the people in New York do not care? They're protesting Colbert right now. Out in the streets, oh, bring back my show, where they complain about Trump. Meanwhile, an off-duty Border Patrol guy was shot in the face.
Yeah.
It's terrifying that if you went back to the 90s, any one of these things would have been the biggest scandal. There would have been mobilization. It would have been nuts. Mm-hmm. Instead, it's happening almost every single day. And the American people are like, I don't care at all.
Do you think, Tim, that I've been following the Trump administration really closely. Their pace of stories that are coming out from the administration, it's just victory after victory after victory in my eyes here. But it's not like under Biden, you'd have a story and then that would just go on for like a week. The news cycle is so much faster, it feels like, under Trump, because they had 4 years to think about what are we going to do when we get back in the saddle to make everything right again. And they're executing on that right now at a pace that people aren't used to out of the presidency. So do you think that there may be some, fatigue from the public about another story from the White House, story from the White House?
That's the point, is that desensitization is a human trait. That means that so long as you don't shake too hard, people will tolerate whatever it is that is going on. And I'm not saying that anyone's orchestrating it. I'm saying the temperature is rising, but we are frogs in a pot. If you crank the knob to 11, we're going to go, and we're going to jump out. But you slowly increment it up, and people are just like, this is the same as it's always been. They can't tell the difference. And so they're going to keep going about their business. It's remarkable to me that there's going to be a kid who is today a teenager voting for the first time in 2028, and he's 15 now, born in 2010, and he'll be voting in 2028, and he'll be like, it's completely normal that political parties try to kill their rivals and put them in prison. And we're going to tell him that is not true. Like, again, Mary Morgan saying nothing ever happens. Because how old is Mary?
23, 24.
Yeah, I got to shout out Mary every time because I use her as an example, and she's like, Tim's got a problem with me saying nothing ever happens. And it is kind of funny. But this Gen Z host from Pop Culture Crisis, shout out, says nothing ever happens. And it's like, my God, the amount of things that won't stop happening is frying our brains. But if you were born into this world, it's normal.
But I think political violence in America is a tradition since the very beginning. My grandparents lived through the 60s and 70s. New York City was completely like a war zone. They had just seen president's head get blown up. I think it's completely normal. But people, like you're saying, are desensitized.
Perhaps it's the inverse. Perhaps that we had this golden age. This golden period of the 90s, where, don't get me wrong, the 90s had bad stuff. Oklahoma City bombing was one of them.
A lot of bad stuff.
Yeah. LA riots. Mm-hmm. But it was politically stable despite those acts of violence.
The illusion was still strong for most of the American public in the 90s.
Yeah,
there is no illusion anymore.
But here's the other thing, too. Even after Gore v. Bush,
yeah,
it didn't turn into this.
I think part of the reason why why we have that sense, though, is the 90s were somewhat stable. And also after 9/11, there was that, almost 10 years of everybody felt like they were on the same team. It took at least 7-8 years after 9/11, 2008, 2009, when Barack Obama was elected, when people started to really start to stop having that unified we're all Americans vibe. You know what I mean? It was there mostly through the aughts. And then once Barack Obama took office and your cell phone became your computer, that's when you saw the political divide become almost untenable or at least sowing the seeds of what has become untenable now.
Obama is when I started to notice people's identities being completely attached to their politics.
Yep.
And you saying anything negative about their politician was an attack on them.
Yeah.
And it got really bad. It accelerated during that.
I wore a Barack Obama, a shirt with Barack Obama's face on it that said poison at a No, it said poison on it. And I wore it in Brooklyn. We were playing a show with Volby in 2012, I think. And I was walking around town, walking around Brooklyn, and people literally gasped when they saw it. Because, they couldn't, who would say that about Barack Obama,
Nobel Prize winner.
Right? Nobel Prize.
Scandal-free.
Scandal-free Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. Made all those mixtapes for us. He reads books.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.